So, I mean,
You just don't.
I guess the question here is, I don't want to wrap it up quite yet. We're chugging along here, but you're almost 70 years old, so
Yep.
you have some perspective in reflection now, looking
Mm-hmm.
back at
Mm-hmm.
those times at a younger Ray, and you know all the choices you made, and perhaps some of the choices you should have made,
Yep.
come back to you.
Yep.
You mentioned you do things on your terms. So, looking
Yep.
back, are there any regrets? Or is there any time in your life when you wish you had relented a little bit more to perhaps be more commercial or, less on your terms, as you say?
Um, artistically, I mean, I don't know if it. I kind of wish I would not have been so hard headed about some things. I mean, my regrets are mostly personal in that I have a daughter that lives in Nashville, and so moving all the way over here when she was young and dealing with being an absentee dad in that situation, that's a regret. That's a regret because I'm pretty I'm pretty good at what I do. So had I stayed in Nashville, I might have had some success at it, and my life might have worked out in a different way in that context. As far as um, I have more regrets for the few times, very few times, that I didn't trust my own muse and I didn't trust my own judgment and worked on projects that I really kind of am glad never really came to full fruition because they just really weren't me.
I
There
love
are a
that.
couple of record
Your
there are a couple
regret,
of records out.
your regrets are because you relented, not because you
Yeah,
didn't.
there are a couple of records out there with my name on them. There are a few things floating around with my name on them that I'm kind of like, oh God, if I never hear that again, that'll suit me just fine.
I
So,
have some interviews
um,
like that. Believe me, I know.
yeah, other than that, no. I mean, it's like I'm not. Again, it's just not. I'm always careful to couch this and saying, listen, however anybody takes this walk is fine by me. It's their walk, not mine. But um, when I write a song, I mean, like I said, I have maybe 50 songs from my catalog I would play for you. Maybe,
Mm.
and um, you know, one of them, my song Confession. When I write a song like Confession and um, someone says says to me anything about it, I'm like, yeah, but I know that's a good song.
Yeah.
I know that's a good song.
Man,
I
I got to
mean,
tell you, not to cut you off, but since you're talking about Confession, Confession will be the second song we present a little bit
I
later
couldn't
tonight.
remember what I
It
couldn't
was,
remember what I sent you. So
yeah, it was Confession. But I got to tell you this story because this being such a late interview, for me, not you, for me,
Mhm.
2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I went into
It's
the
getting late,
house,
bro.
and I always kind of refresh my memory. I write my outline and my notes usually a week before we get together, and then just before we talk, I will refresh my memory, not with the notes, but with the music, because it's
Mm.
about the music for me. So
Hmm.
I want to be able to have the music fresh on my mind when I get into the room with you. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I'm laying in bed and my wife is half asleep next to me, and I'm playing the record, the whole record, Confession, which, man, what a amazing piece of work. But at this moment
Thank
in
you.
time, I'm playing the actual title track, and my wife rolls over and she says, "Who is that?" And I said, "I'll be talking to him in about 25 minutes." And she's like, "That's the guy you're talking to tonight?" And just that doesn't happen. My wife does not
Wow,
get
thank
impressed
her
like
for
that.
me.
I will.
Thank her for me.
It's an absolutely gorgeous song. I'm looking forward to hearing about that in a little while. When we do play it for everybody out there, it's just a beautiful, beautiful piece of work. And
Thank you.
honestly, when I heard your unplugged version, when you emailed that over, I was like, man, I'm so happy to get to talk to you. And
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate
I'm
it.
glad that you did things on your terms. I'm glad you don't have any regrets about that, because that can be a really hard thing as an artist when you're not getting the notoriety you feel like you deserve, and rightfully so, because you are exposing your heart to the world and your soul to the world. And you know, you do have those people that love it, but at the same time, it's not commercially viable,
No.
like they say in Nashville. I love that you stuck to your guns, and I'm glad you don't have regrets for that.
Well, the tricky thing is now, even here, I mean, and it's an ongoing, as you know, it's an ongoing process. I mean, a couple of years back, I was in Nashville. I take, as I said, I don't really imbibe much in songwriting classes or anything like that at this point in my life. Um, but I had always wanted to. Rodney Crowell is probably my favorite country songwriter, and so
Incredible.
Rodney does this songwriting camp every year, and he brings in the best of the best. And so 2 years ago, last in the summer, he had one of his camps in Nashville, and he had Beth Nielsen Chapman and Peter Asher, and just a laundry list of Gretchen Peters, a laundry list of these people that I just admire so much. And I thought, I'm going to go there. I'm going to do this one. My mom had just passed away, and she had left me a little bit of money, and I thought, okay, what would my mom want me to do with this couple of $1,000 that she left behind? She'd want me to do something with my music. And so I signed up for the class. And fortunately, like I said, my daughter lives in Nashville, and all my friends live there. So it was kind of like, okay, I'm going to go on a little vacation, and I'm going to do the songwriting thing. And I went, and it was predictable, 50, 60, 70 people there trying very hard to get these people to listen to their songs to make them all famous, which is not how any of this works. This doesn't work that way. I already knew that. So it was like, I went there and I'm like, I'm not getting out of this damn thing what I wanted to get out of this. I'm not getting the vibe. I'm not getting it. So finally, I went through the whole thing. And I did, I had a class with Rodney. There was about 12, 13 of us. I had a class with Rodney. Rodney's down front. And fortunately, I got picked to be one of the people to play a song for Rodney. And so, Boston, I'm walking down from the auditorium, and I didn't have my guitar with me because I just like, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to do that. But Rodney said, well, why don't you play me something? So I didn't have my guitar with me, and me being me, I said to Rodney Crowell, can I borrow your guitar? And he's like, sure. And I had in my hand, my notebook, and I had this kind of commercially whatever thing. I thought, I'll play that. And I got down there and I thought, no, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. That's not who I am. So I looked at him. I said, listen, this is new. I don't have any lyrics to give you to read along with. And I don't know, So I played a song that I wrote about George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. And I played it to him. It's called Say His Name. And I played that song. And I mean, it's a political song. There's no question about it. This is one that doesn't avoid making its point. And it was just dead silence. I mean, dead silence. And he looked at me, and I thought, oh, you really stepped in it here, buddy. And Rodney was like, that's a great song, but it's not finished. Because remember, women also have been through this. And I want you to go write me a verse about a woman and then send it to me. And I'm like, how do I send? He said, you're a smart guy. You got this far. You can find my email address. So I wrote a song. I wrote a verse about Breonna Taylor, put it on the song. And long story short, I now have a relationship with Rodney Crowell, which you've seen in my press stuff about my political stuff. Because at the same thing, I said to Joe Henry, I said, Joe, I have these political songs. I said, I have these political songs. I said, but I'm cautious about not wanting to offend anybody. And he looked at me and he said, do you really have time for that? Do you really have time for that? And he said, you're not a young man. If these songs are what you want to sing, sing them. So that's how Blood came out. That's how Say His Name came out. That's how my song about school shootings, thoughts and prayers. My song about deportees, which is coming out next, I think, called "In Case They're Gone." I mean, it's just simply this. No, I don't have time for that. So even though my walk has already been hard, I'm going to make it tougher because I'm going to do the political stuff.
And I
I'm just
love
going to
that.
do it.
And the only thing I have to add to that is I absolutely hate that Say His Name is in any universe thought of as a political song. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's ridiculous to me. It's not a political song at all.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
I didn't think so. I just thought that it was telling the truth.
It is absolutely a truthful song, and if somebody doesn't like that truth, that doesn't make it a political song.
I'm gonna, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm fortunate to get invited to songwriting festivals and stuff like that, and I've played it. I played it at home in Annapolis a couple of years ago, and a couple of people got up and walked out. That was okay. That's okay. I mean, I consider that a perfectly fine reaction. I mean, if that's their reaction, then I know. I mean, I have my song called "Resist." You can guess who that's about, and from the first time around, and I played that at a concert. And some people took umbrage to it, but you know what? I do resist.
Yeah.
I do
Well,
resist,
all
and
I
I'm
gotta
not going to
say
change that.
to you, Ray, is I'm really freaking happy that you don't have time for that. Honestly,
I just don't. I
Yeah.
really don't.
I love that.
I'm not going to stop.
Absolutely love that.